The scene outside the parlor is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency, which provides staff for the Wright enterprise in the hospitalities sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serveware good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johannes, looking like scared little children, as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. To peruse the stocks, to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Well, we have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor with thousands fill vases, wreaths, and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. It is followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier white chiffon, one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. But despite the fact that I told Mary Ann how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all of this, I only see Luke everywhere. These are all the grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I had wanted a small, elegant, and simple gathering, with only a select few invited, namely the people who I would actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright. And I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman, who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me, just because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I stopped at the bottom, so I could work my way up to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was the calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor liaison and public relations, supervision of staff, and, well, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looking for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, oh, Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married, where we talked about everything and anything. From big things like business, society, and philosophy, to little things such as what we had for breakfast, or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands prefer wives who are docile and subordinate. A woman who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except for beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children and to take care of them in his absence. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society, but I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't hurry.
Cars line up on the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand tours, sports cars, even the high-end muscle car or two, convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen, being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it'd be too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxburn. So far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays?
Welcome, welcome everyone. Please, make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm, if not strange, sunshine we are experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether they're through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as that young man with his oriental air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike.
Be careful with Shirley, all right?
Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone, while she looks unsure of why she is here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
I had invited Father Norman, too. It's the least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request. Aside from my small donation to the church, of course. But the whole poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. And then there are people like the Chief Inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body. I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or three, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Have I mentioned how I don't trust him, no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes us by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play, and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly unless I am pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they're not anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more but to make music. One of our hotel managers worry about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security which should be brought up to a higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Then there is that rose-haired woman once again. It is hard not to notice her with her distinctive locks. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the air she exudes instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach, intrigued, although it is no great mystery what occupies her own attention, with the glances she keeps sending towards the boy with oriental hair. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending I am there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
The boy comes over, but I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it is a wonder he doesn't hear what I say.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend, then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I've never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
I waver as I feel the burning of someone's stares. It is chilling, and though I am used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on my back of the neck, on my neck, stand up. My attention is pulled from the girl, and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call the security at her when her mouth breaks out into a grin. All I hear is her laughing, taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I am nothing but a pig to slaughter for amusement. It makes my hand shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then, in a blink, she's gone and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but... Are you alright?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor, who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, which I honestly hadn't been too keen about, though I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, but yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met once before.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A. What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky gets. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stillness. Perhaps I've triggered a horrid childhood memory. Surely I hadn't been mean when visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. But what do I know?
There's a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what, 20 years?
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense. I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans. It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my... crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. I did give her that yellow summer dress, or the pink blouse and petticoat. She must have kept some of what I said in mind. It gets ridiculous, it feels ridiculous remembering all of that years later. Talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls, as if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. Though, looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, enough for her to take it to heart. But all that didn't matter in the moment as I mull over what she's just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There is no time to ponder over that, however, as I hush descends upon the once lively crowd. The music of strings and the chatter slows to a grinding halt as the doors from the foyer opens. The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago, and anyone else this late would simply be too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather one man. There is only one man who is audacious enough to arrive at his own party late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to his presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny when he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks, how they listen enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. A little wave of his hands here, a little smile there, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that if he is not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I love this side of him, especially when he looks at me, and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side, and I make my way to Luke's.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
There's a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she is dangerously close, with fury in her eyes, and she's already spitting venom. Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might be too late for that, as I see an emptied glass of wine in her hand. How much has she imbibed in?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol in her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet. I am absolutely pissed by the fact that she'd endanger her own baby by drinking. There is a considerable amount of restraint and grace that I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight, smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask the same exact thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass! You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me? What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk. That's all it is. Just completely and utterly mad. Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johannes, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
It is now that Johannes returns with security, along with a concerned-looking Officer Lee. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he has heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man. Not that I believe Rochelle. Luke will never... He will never go so far as to sleep with another woman, right?
I'm so sorry for her behavior. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really Is there really nothing here but the ramblings of a drunk? Of course they're nothing but the ramblings of a drunk. She's just jealous. Jealous of this wonderful marriage. This happily ever after that I have with my prince.
Take that troll up out of here immediately! And see to it that she isn't allowed here or anywhere we hold any authority in Luxborn.
To be banned from anything with the right name on it is basically social suicide. We practically own half of Luxburn, and there isn't a single establishment of repute that isn't under our patronage one way or another. This is mercy. I can do much worse to her. At least this way, she could just move out of the city and never, ever return. I have stayed my hand in the face of her grievous fault, her bold-faced lies when she deserves so much more. I can take away her business, have her factory shut down. It is too easy to ruin her life until she is just nothing. And it is all so tempting. I can only see red. The tension is thick in the air, and the silence that embraces the room is nearly deafening. There are worried and almost fearful glances from some of the guests, yet at the same time I can still hear them whispering. But as long as they hold their tongues and don't interfere, none of those matter to me. Especially when my darling looks at me with a different shine in his eyes. It almost seems as if he's proud of what I've done, and that spurs me on more than anything.
Everyone, please go back to enjoying the party. Don't let that mess of a woman ruin your night.
You heard her! Strike up the band, maestro, and let us dance like fireflies in the night!
It takes a bit for the crowd to stir again in the face of all that. But like most problems of the elite, it is brushed under the floor and forgotten in favor of merriment. He offers his hand to me with a small smirk and a bow.
Well, that was a mess, wasn't it? And you handled it magnificently.
It happens. We are very important people, are we not?
Milady, would you like to dance?
With pleasure, my prince.
No one is going to get in between me and my darling husband. Not Rochelle or any other rich, snooty scrubber. Not some common whore or an ambitious maid. No one is going to get near him in that matter, not while I'm around. And if I have anything to say about it, no one is going to get near him at all. Saturday. The day after proved to be a difficult task. My darling prince is a man of many connections, a man of the people. He is always talking to one person or another, and I am always left alone, unable to stay at his side at all times. It is frustrating, but I have to be understanding. Besides, I don't see why he can't just stay home. The least I can do is to make sure I have his time while he's here, which, in and of itself, isn't as easy as it sounds. Not with that bloody valet of his tailing him around.
Johans! Where's my tie? I can't find it anywhere.
Have you looked around your neck? It should be there if it's not on your clothes horse, sir.
It isn't often that I'm awake this early. At least early enough to find my darling preparing for the day with his valet attending him. It is an old-fashioned way to go about the morning. He's able to dress himself, after all. But he says that it really makes the day easier for him to have someone else do this tedious task, albeit with a grimace. Though, if that manservant of his dislikes the duty so much, I'll gladly do it in his stead.
I've got it, my prince. Come here.
Well, someone's up and at them especially early this morning, huh? Here I thought you'd be knackered by all the dancing we did last night at the party. And after that, well...
A saucy little wink and a smile is what he offers me as I draw close to fix his tie. And when the valet reaches out with his perfume, I quickly take it and shoo him aside. This close, his scent fills me with the smell of white flowers, cocoa, cardamom and almonds. It is intoxicating, and the sight of the two of us in the vanity mirror is picturesque and perfect. Can I help it if I feel a bit resentful that another person gets to do this for Luke every morning when I could have done it myself? No, I can't.
You're dismissed, Shroken. I have this. Go on then. You'll be summoned if you're needed.
There's a curious look, furrowed brows, before any sign that he cares is wiped from his expression.
Very well. If you need me, I'll be somewhere that isn't here.
You could have let the man do his job.
And I say there's no need for him. I can take care of you just fine, my prince. Just where are you off to this morning anyway?
I hate the thought of him leaving me. It feels like an eternity without him here, in this lonely place that doesn't feel like a home quite yet. Although the mansion is really growing on me, slowly but surely. I want to be at his side, yet he fails to see such an obvious thing.
Business. Where else?
Why can't you just work from home? You can afford to, can't you?
Business needs a firm hand and a personal touch, Buttercup. Besides, I can't stay cooped up forever in here. I'll go.
Well, you'll come back home as soon as possible, won't you?
What?
You'll go something.
I clicked it too soon.
It's so awfully lonely here without you, my prince.
I could. I don't see why I should, though. This hasn't been a problem before.
She won't.
You know I'll come home when I come home.
Just get home as soon as you can. For me, won't you?
No promises. It's business after all. I can't just stand up in the middle of the meeting and tell them the wife wants me home.
Then forget those peasants.
He stops and stares, looking perturbed for a moment before shaking his head. Is he feeling ill? There's more reason for him to stay here with me, doesn't it? I'm just being a good wife, worrying about my husband and all.
Be good, dear, and stay safe. There's been all sorts of dodgy characters seen about the property. I'll be leaving Johans with you, just in case you need anything, and to be on the safe side, okay?
But I don't need a valet. I need you here with me.
I'll be closing a big deal with a pharmaceutical company soon, if things go according to plan. Maybe, after that, I can take a breather for a bit.
No maybes. You have to promise me.
I only need him.
I'm going to be late, Hannah. The longer this takes, the later I'll get home.
Fine. Shall I see you out?
If that's what you want.
At the front door, his valet waits, ready to accompany him for the rest of the day, when he's told to stay and to attend me. I still don't like it. It looks like he doesn't either. But I ignore him in favor of the one who really matters. I hold Luke's hand in mine and give him a deep kiss. It makes my heart flutter as I see the way his eyes close during our moment of passion. Parting for air, I can only smile.
Have a good day, my prince.
Right. Off I go.
I still don't want him to leave. He should just stay. Forever.
If you could let go of my hand, please, Hannah.
It's just so hard to let him go when I finally have him in my grasp. To watch him enter his car and leave pains me so. It leaves behind an aching, gaping hole like a hunger and a need. I'm not content until he returns.
If it fits you, breakfast is ready in the parlor, madam.
If anything, I'll be in a foul mood until he returns.
Leave and go practice your bloody sodomy elsewhere.
Oh, dang.
What? There's no bonding between them, right?
No, there's not a thing.
Right.
Peculiar.
When I turn around to hiss at him to leave, he's already gone, and that suits me just fine. I want to be alone without anyone bothering me. I want to be alone with myself and my thoughts, with only these halls as company. These danged halls which will hold our memories. Just he and I. There is no one else I need but my prince. Not some cheeky servant who's just living it up because he's Luke's right-hand man. Rubbish like him doesn't deserve anything. He deserves to be thrown and locked in the attic. Without realizing it, my feet have brought me in here. This empty, lifeless room disgusts me. The longer I stare at it, the harder it gets to breathe, as if the walls are moving in on me. Yet at the same time it pulls me in. I hear whispering, and curiosity get the better of me as I look under the bed. I'm gonna save just in case. Excellent. There, on the far corner, a loose floorboard. The wood, despite having swelled and warped over the years, strangely familiar, comforting in its feel. Though it's not merely what my hand searches for as I reach for it. It takes quite an effort, but soon I am able to lift it. And inside, underneath the dust and cobwebs, lies a pendant, warm and familiar. And I swear, if I just close my eyes, I can feel it beating in my palm. I feel a thrill, though I also feel like a thief for taking this. But it's mine. So without delay, I hide in our room. In front of the vanity, I see the ways my eyes shine as I remove the clasps of my old necklace and put on this new one. It fits a lot better than the old one. I can feel it as it weighs on my chest.
Right where it belongs.
Oh my gosh!
You effed up.
What did I do?
You effed up.
Was it the fight?
You effed up.
Was it that fight?
There's a couple of things where you effed up.
Was it that fight?
You effed up.
What the frick, dude?
Well, we're on Zachary now. Let's look at our relationship statuses real quick. Alright. The only two people who are above the little threshold is Hannah and Isabella. You effed up.
Oh, I know.
Do you know?
The first one at the apartment, and then the second one was the fight.
You gotta have it beyond the threshold. You whiffed up! Well, we're gonna stop here. We've already progressed to Zachary. I think we did some good progress there now, didn't we? Mr. F-Upper. Hey, we can't always win them. Well, that was fun. How do you feel about your choices?
Nah.
Nah?
Meh.
Meh. It happens. We'll just see what the ending will be.
Bad.
Well, you don't know. I'm pretty sure Isabella is still alive, so we're good on that end. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we'll start with Zachary next time. Ah, interesting. We'll start with Zachary next time, and we'll look at his profile. Should be fun. Maybe we can try to get through Zach's the same we did Hana's. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I guess we'll see you in the next recording session that we do.
Yep.
Bye!
Bye.